So yeah, this is such an important moment for the Amazon. And when we think about the tipping point, it's not something of the future, it's happening now. So I want to say a little bit about the Sacred Headwaters and why the fund, why now, and what's our vision and purpose. So the fund represents far more than a financial mechanism. It's a living bridge. It's being thought of as a living bridge between the territories and also between the territories and the economic systems that we're working to transform. So then Amazon Sacred Headwaters has been working to protect the size of Germany rainforest in 2 countries. And as you know, this is a region that defines the health of the entire Amazon. What happens in the headwaters literally flows downstream here, whether it's fish, population of fish being affected by mercury poisoning, whether it's oil spills. And really the Earth's climate depends on the Amazon. We know that there's no climate solution without the Amazon. Maybe I could, just keep going on the slides. Thank you. So what we're saying is that the Amazon Sacred Headwaters came together, built a bioregional plan in 2021. 30 nations participated in it. It was sort of a compilation of indigenous people's own life plans. And through that process, we identified the objectives that you see on the screen, that we needed to protect this area as a thriving, living ecoregion for the, service not only to the people and the life that's there, but also for the whole planet. And there are 5 major objectives of the bioregional plan. We've built those into immediate priorities. Next. We have an amazing leadership of the Sacred Headwaters Alliance, Domingo, who you met today, and Zenaida Yasakama, who has joined us this year as the executive director. And we have an amazing team of both indigenous and non-indigenous allies. You see here Gregorio Mirabal, former General Secretary of COICA and also the current lead on climate. And we have many folks from like Lynn and Bill Twist from the Pachamama Alliance. Many global experts contributed to the bioregional plan. Next. We have a we spent a lot of time on governance the last 4 years. We have a board of directors made up of 9 out of the 11 members of our board of directors are indigenous from the territories. There are 28 member organizations. Of those, 25 are indigenous. And we have some handouts for you to take with you that explain some of our governance. But many of these leaders are longtime leaders who've been very much elected and supported and risen up through the ranks, being good community facilitators and organizers. Next. Of course, you heard we've been getting international recognition, Schwab Innovation Award, all of the Earthshot Prize finalists, Keeling Curve Prize, and the most recently, Domingo was the Win-Win Prize of Gothenburg Award winner. But this hasn't led to an increase in our funding, even though it's only been in the last 2 years. We're hopeful that this positions us because it basically signals trust. Next. And so what is the Sacred Headwaters structure right now? We're basically evolving the fund to be able to receive funding from many jurisdictions. Currently, we have basically a jurisdiction in the US, which is the Pachamama Alliance, has a fiscal sponsor. We have just incorporated ASHA Switzerland, so we're of ASHA Europe based in Zug, Switzerland. We're in the process of establishing ASHA Peru. We also have ASHA US plan, but right now no immediate need for that because the Pachamama Alliance is serving as an excellent partner and fiscal agent. We have Sacred Headwaters as a legal entity in Ecuador, also a legal entity in the works in Peru, currently operating through Fundación Pachamama. So funding can come in from any of these jurisdictions. Last year we were about $2 million annual budget. We made 90 grants, about $500,000 to lots of projects on the ground. And our goal is to get to $10 million in grants and loans by 2027. And we have many types of programs that the portfolio would go to. And we're talking about a fund that brings in blended finance from both philanthropy, which would be catalytic to attracting multilaterals, investments, and other forms of funding. We're talking about capacity building grants, as well as direct grants to indigenous peoples and a revolving loan fund, plus investments in bioeconomy enterprises that grow over time. But initially, these are, you heard from Domingo, these are our priorities. The number one being securing rights and territories. And we are working on 9 million hectares of territories that are still not legally recognized, mostly in Peru. We're working on well-being and economies, and also growing our influence to change the economic model. And next. And then, so the portfolio, you heard about the Living School of the Amazon. So I won't spend too much time. It's a year-long leadership school, and we are over 100 people have gone through it. And the indigenous nations each nominate their leaders from their emerging leaders that they want to have trained, who are seen as future community leaders, presidents of their nations, etc. I'll tell you a little bit about our pilot program with the Fundación Pachamama and Pachamama Alliance and Regen Network on the tokens for biodiversity conservation. Basically, communities, including Domingo's community, 10,000 hectares, they created a conservation plan. They created norms around what to fish, what to hunt, where to grow their gardens, where to conserve. And then through camera traps, drones, and other kinds of geospatial data collection, they're generating data about their impacts of their interventions to protect their forest. And that data underpins the issuance of a token, which is then sold on the blockchain through the Regen platform, which is a cooperatively owned platform, and it's retired. It's not necessarily circulating, it's more of a digital coin that's a digital donation. Proceeds go to fund the community's life plan, and they create the investment strategy about everything from food systems, because they're not going to hunt anymore, to things like how to enhance their culture, their nutrition, their health, and also ecotourism programs, their vanilla production, their enterprises. And it's a holistic model that seeks to empower the community to live well, conserve the forests, and basically help instigate a bigger movement in their territory. They're opposing roads, they're opposing mining, they're opposing illegal logging, and this is kind of the reward system that's now going to 5 communities. Now it's going to be spread to 5 communities this year and 10 communities next year. Our goal is to get to 1.5 million hectares of forest conservation with this Jaguar tokens by 20. Next. Please. Okay, so what are the goals of the fund? We're in a sprint. We are in architectural design. We have people working on it who've been working on the debt relief funds in Ecuador, and we have been interviewed over 30 people, from indigenous leaders to fund managers from other funds to donors. We're developing the blueprint. Our goal is to capitalize to provide 30 million annually for grants. Some of those will be regenerative, so generate revenues, like things like reforestation and bioeconomy will generate revenues to keep the fund going. By 2026, the idea is basically within the next 24 months, we were at 10 million. That's our goal. That's our kind of marching order. We had an assembly of all 28 organizations in early September. We got the mandate. Don't wait any longer. We don't want more studies. We want to go. And we'll learn along the way. So our short-term goal, and we're more than halfway there, is to raise, we're halfway there, to raise the 200,000 that it takes to structure the fund, to do the process, to do the consultations, to build the portfolio, to create the governance documents, and basically, and we're building the portfolio already. So, and really we need to raise, not only do we need to build the portfolio, but we need to increase our ability to track funding. That means we have to have a robust learning, monitoring, evaluation system. We're investing in that now. And it also means to increase our fundraising capacity, because right now it's just a few of us doing that, 1 or 2. Next. And what we're hearing is feedback from stakeholders. What do you need? What do you need to make this fund trustworthy, impactful, and a learning process at scale. And so you told us we want look at the criteria of other funds, make sure it's aligned with things like the bioeconomy movement, make sure it's indigenous-led. Governance is really important. The monitoring system is important, and we've got to decentralize. The whole idea of a bi-regional financing facility. Samantha Powers wrote the book. Bi-regional BFFs, bi-regional financing facilities, really brings it home. It's basically bringing capital into landscape, patient capital that's willing to be there a long time, and also experiment as well as scale. And it's governed by the people, co-governed by the people who know best the solutions on the ground. But it's not just them. They're inviting experts. They're inviting, male experts to investment advisors, elders. So we're looking at several different structures for governance. There'll be the decision makers that are majority indigenous, that make investment decisions, so investment decision makers, and there are advisory committee, and that's also made up of elders, of other organizational and thematic experts, of indigenous organizers, of people who've been from other funds and have seen what Gregorio sometimes says is a graveyard of failed projects in the Amazon. So it's really been systems design, the idea that it's a living, learning process. It's not siloed. It's really trying to shoot for that twin goal of ecological flourishing and economic returns, and ecological returns in clean water, in clean soil, in health and nutrition and leadership. And so we're very excited about the holistic nature. It's a reflection of the bioregional plan, which I think is a great document as a model for other bioregions. And when we say bioregions, in this case, we're talking about the Napo, Pastaza, and Marañón river basins, which form the headwaters of the Amazon, and then a little bit more, because the cultures don't stop at one side or other side of the river. They go beyond the river borders. So it's the cultural plus the watershed boundaries that form the structure of our geographic mandate. Next. I'm almost done, and then there's some fun things to do with you all. We're also building, right now, prototyping a project platform where donors can go and see what are the projects in education, what are projects in healthcare, leadership, restoration, regeneration, and it's in the beta stage, and we're hoping that this will be a tool for portfolio generation, and it's also where we can show results, the impact of this project, and also its future-looking plans. Next. And really, that we've been really looking at MEL system, the monitoring, learning, and evaluation system. And this is a big one, because the Western world divides things and isolates things and measures them, but not that all that we measure matters, and we fail to measure the things that matter. So in our sense, we're looking both qualitative and quantitative ways of seeing and sensing the threats, opportunities, and impacts, and our lessons learned. So it's invite anyone who has expertise in that to help bring some of that to us, some of your lessons, but we've also brought together some amazing minds to think through that and develop the metrics that come from the territories, not just metrics that come from kind of a blend of ancestral and modern world metrics. Trust is a big one, transparency is a big one, and longevity, long-term transformation is another. Next. And so this is where you are. Who is involved? We're calling on donors. We have a small group right now that are jumping in. We'd like more philanthropy. And also, because the philanthropy will set the structure, build the field for investors and multilaterals to come in. But we're also looking for technical counterparts. Obviously, the indigenous peoples of the territory, we're still in a dialogue process because we've had several workshops since we started this process in early 2024. Sorry, in early 2025, we started the consultation process, but we have a ways to go. And really, what are the things that we want to do is we want to use of technology, scale up our use of technology, just sense and measure and monitor, but also what the indigenous people call indigenous technology, through ceremony, through visioning, through collective evaluation, through circles of trust and dream sharing. In this part of the Amazon, the people basically make their decisions on a daily basis based on their dreams. Lastly, we want to invite you on a journey, a sprint, to help us with our immediate targets, whether it's through fundraising, fund donating, or it's through being part of our design committee, being part of the review group, and a number of other ways. And we have some literature here that explains all this a bit more. So I think that was my last slide. What do you think? Do I got some support here? And I just want to say that this is the part where you come in. We have about 3 years to really get to the place where we are able to position the Sacred Headwaters in both as a model, but also to deal with the immediate threats that we're facing. 80% of the Sacred Headwaters is under threat. There are 23 new oil blocks, there's many roads, there's many threats. There's also a need to support indigenous peoples in maintaining their forests, because they're being bombarded not only by government-imposed drilling, but by illegal mafias and other illegal crime and illegal mining. And those are things that Domingo always says, if we can maintain the strength of the forest and strength of the people will defend the forest, and we know that to be the case. So now is the fun part. I would like to invite you to just count 1, 2 along the ways. So let's see, maybe, 2 groups, no? We want to divide you into 2 groups, and we want to hear from you. And then I would like to say that there are 2, when we come back, I have Arturo from New York Community Trust, Jasmine from Amazon Investor Coalition, and Gregorio Mirabal. Stay tuned for Gregorio, and he will close us with some final reflections. But right now we want to divide you into 2 groups. We want to circle you up. Have you say what inspired you? What is the thing that is inspiring about what we're doing? And what is it that you think might be or could be your offering? And if you're not ready to say that, say you can write it down or you can think about it, but we want to hear a bit from you and how you were inspired to support us before we let you go. And then we'll end the thing with a few quick statements from Arturo and Jasmine, and then we'll have some refreshments. And the river is right there, so we'll open the door and let you also go swimming. No. All right, thank you so much. So let's count. We'll start with you.